Tonight No Poetry Will Serve by Adrienne Rich. Saw you walking barefoot, taking a long look at the new moon's eyelid, later spread, sleep fallen, naked in your dark hair, asleep, but not oblivious, of the unslept unsleeping elsewhere. Tonight, I think no poetry will serve. Syntax of rendition, verb pilots the play. Adverb modifies action. Verb force feeds noun. Submerges the subject, noun is choking. Verb disgraced goes on doing. There are adjectives up for sale. Now diagram the sentence from the nation. Subject, verb, object. James Richardson. I is not ego, not the sum of your unique experiences, just democratically whoever's talking. A kind of motel room, yours till the end. That is, of the sentence. The language, actually, doesn't think I's important. Stressing, even in grandiose utterances, e.g., I came, I saw, I conquered the other syllables. Oh, it's a technical problem, sure, the rhyme, on, so, open, lie, cry, I, harder to stitch tight than the ozone, hole in the sky, but the worst is its plodding insistence, I. Somebody huffing uphill, face red as a stop sign. Scared by a doctor or some he, she, it. Surprised in the mirror. From the New Yorker. A blind astronomer in the age of stars. Patian Rogers. He considers himself lucky to have been born during the age of stars, all those beings in their shimmering shades still flaring their silent, untouchable presence. He imagines how they shine as if they were the work of light, giving sight like eyes to a blind universe. Making his way through fields at night, he can feel the light from those million sources touching him, like the particles composing the finest airy fog. Touching him like the knowledge of lives in a silent forest, he feels each star in the way he hears each syllable of his lover's whisper. And he claims to see the constellations from the inside out, having been inscribed from birth, he says, with their configurations. Indeed, his braille depictions of Canis Major, Dorado, Lyra, Orion are to scale and perfect. Often through summer nights he lies on open hillsides to observe the heavens. He describes the stars as transforming his body with their patterns, like tattoos of life, the wings of cygnets, the horns of Taurus. What kind of fortune would it be, he wonders, to feel the light of the Southern Cross along his brow? He believes that the constant jeets of the wayside crickets, and the notes of the reed toads sounding like whistles underwater, and the soft bristle brush of grasses in the wind altogether match in cadence the multiple spacings and motions of the stars. He imagines that the sudden piercing cry of a rabbit or a prairie mouse at night corresponds to the streak of a falling meteor, a helpless descending diagonal of light. He hears their passing in this way. The earth, he is certain, is related to the starry sky-blood sky. The starry sky by blood. By the solid black existing behind his eyes, he understands the dimension beyond the edge of the farthest horizon. That place whose light has not had time to reach and touch him. He knows that place, its state, and its lack, one he calls patience, the other pity. From the Alaska Quarterly Review. John Clare's Finches, Gibbon's Ruark. I thought the first one was a leaf falling faster than any leaf could fall. No coasting the updrafts. None of those sinuous floating undulations. The body forth, the longing of anything falling, to return to the branch, and then it dipped and stalled and touched its feather weight of gold to the fence post, and there we were, risen at dawn, to breathe while we could, the vanishing cool of early late summer morning, and see the goldfinches should they chance to return. And they came, but on a wind that never blew before, I saw as in a rain pool slicking the roadway, or a shard of mirror lodged in a Romy's tree. The poor, marvelous, daft poet limping his way along the watery English lanes and by-lanes, humming the air of Highland Mary, dreaming his aim was taking him close and closer to remembered beauty, daisy, goldfinch, grass that smells of the baker's oven, who might have wrapped around him her arms long and small, had she managed to breathe the air of his belief and not die blameless and alone, sister to nothing or the bride of darkness, for all the difference it makes from the new republic. This tape measure made of light. By John Rubicki. 1. We have some say in the skin we wear, this movie screen we paint over it. We will it in public to be so and so, but there are red lights that halt the streaming herd. We thank God for our hole, our hiding place, the hound, smacking its tail when we arrive, a kite ripping dumbly down our driveway. 2. At a job site snapped off from the familiar, we're lowering trusses onto a flat roof, then tying them together. There is a 7-story grain elevator spraying dust, and what with the rain and the fermentation, we have a dairy farm on the roof, a real shitstorm to slop around in. We bang like this, our hammers and our blood, to test along these verges, to hear something solid ringing back. There is the hopper below us hissing and pouring nutritious pellets for dogs and horses, pouring gravity. Fed into the big sacks, we climb down the chute through his hole like a navel. 2 men down there with earmuffs on, and they're tossing the sacks onto a dolly all day. The young one senses animal movement, my flicking a brushstroke of blood on him. He looks up at me and nods, and I nod back. It's an old light that passes between us, and I make it into a nice rope, and I hold on. 3. Take a pinch of light from under the rib. Let's see how far it stretches. This filament to measure your rafters to their tails, Lord. How will you frame, say, a window in this house so a Milky Way spills through it? Only so many fingers pinch at these fissures. These lights beam through every pore, every knothole. What we long for or have lost lurks under those floorboards we nail down knowing they're not floorboards. Our molecules rain outward, which means we're always leaving someone, and our tired selves line up behind us like men looking for work. The Third Coast. Gravity and Grace. Betsy Scholl. Grace fills empty spaces, but it can only enter where there is a void to receive it. Simon Weil. Vile. Vale. Weil. Whale. Weil. Simone? It's hard to concentrate on you with those 3 boys on the next bench blowing up balloons and letting them go, all squirt and grunt fizzling into the void, I think you'd say. And leaving a void too, if spent breath becomes exhaust, if everything we do ends up empty. So prayer you'd add becomes a little death as we pour our desires into words that fill to bursting, then leave our lips to corkscrew and sputter into thin air, selfless, anonymous, enough to rise. Now the boys race up the slide, all high fives, and laughter blowing off gravity while I read. You'd like to be blown away, see a landscape as it is when I am not there, as if the self blocks God the way bodies block light. Thus your executor was to destroy all record of your mind, those notebooks filled with stark meditations as Hitler railed. As death camps filled and ghettos burn, love is not consolation, you wrote, it is light, meaning that fierce headlamp of attention which leaves the self in shadow and trains its high beams on the voids where prisoners huddle under gravity's dark weight, and grace, if it comes, comes in secret to those struck dumb, trembling in the glare, from image. Love, Martha Solano. With apologies to Julie Sheehan. I hate your kneecaps floating free. In their salty baths I hate your knees, both of them, and I hate your eyelashes, especially the ones that fall out, the ones you're supposed to wish on. I wish you bad wishes. I hate every hair on your hairy face, hate you as much as I hate being put on hold. Thank you for your patience when I have none, when patience is as far away from my first grade teachers. If you have nothing nice to say, your mushroom risotto, I hate it. The salmon you're defrosting, hate it. My vowels hate you, my adverbs hate you, the backyard hates you. The backyard with all of its abandoned dump trucks, with the giant hole our son dug. All summer while soaker hoses soaked. That hole in all holes, including the hole in the ozone, which of course keeps getting bigger. Spaghetti wrapping around a fork. Mashed spinach and carrots caught in the rungs of a high chair stuck to the floor like dried green paint. Hate, hate, hate. Each furry rabbit a little furry ball of hate. Each blackberry a messy drippy of drippy hate. At the China Palace, the plates piled high with Mushu hate. The plates now a busboy's burden of hate. The only sound of dumpsters clanging hate, hate, hate. From the Cincinnati Review. Like a monkey. Mitch Siskind. Our sages tell us Rachel was a beautiful woman, light brown hair, brown eyes, 5 feet 6 or 7. Not a clothes horse, but always looked great weather getting ready for work, in white cashmere sweater, pleated navy skirt, or in the bleachers at a Cubs game in cutoffs and t-shirt. Yet besides Sarah, our sages tell us, Rachel was like a monkey. Rachel was like a monkey beside Sarah, for our sages tell us Sarah was a beautiful woman, and most of all she loved to dance. People try to move too much, she said, diamonds and rust on the stereo. Really, you don't even need to move your feet. You don't even need to move at all, or just a little, really. Yet beside Eve, our sages tell us Sarah was like a monkey. Sarah was like a monkey beside Eve, for our sages tell us Eve was a beautiful woman. She dyed her hair to a metallic purple sheen, wore matching purple eyeshadow and silver jewelry. Goth look, but she made it work. Teardrop tattoo by left eye, so small you might say you might not even notice. And to the surprise of many, she majored in cosmology, physics journals on the floor. in her bathroom by the toilet. Yet beside Adam, our sages tell us Eve was like a monkey. Eve was like a monkey beside Adam. Beside Adam's foot, our sages tell us Eve was like a monkey, his foot shining brighter than the sun, brighter than 1,000 suns, flash across the just created sky, fish and burn, of which though hidden a single spark still burns in you. From Jacket. At the pool. Tom Slay. The lifeguard asleep slumps forward at ease, as if the Red Sea could be depended upon to part, as if the waters themselves would save the drowning. My friend's wife has died, and as he tells how the thought of her having died being dead, her death and deadness being nothing he can stop now, and that goes on and on he seems as he talks to be, his own Orpheus, his own Eurydice, turning back on the stair each time he calls her name, turning around to climb back up, back down, the dead like a film, run backwards, forwards, forever approaching, gliding away, my friend at 83, still calling on his wife to come back to him, making her climb up into the light, the lifeguard's chiseled abdomen rising, falling, making the pool water seem quieter, calmer in the shifting illuminations and shadows wavering of the underwater lights that my friend who used to swim but can't now once floated in front of while we talked, taking a break, doing from laps, his old man's muscles, making his body seem somehow small and huge small in relation to the pool bottom, staring up through itself like an obvious, oblivious blank eye, huge in how his arms stretched out, made the whole pool's water seem to concentrate its buoyancy just to float him. From AGNI. At the New York Public Library, I heard Derek Walcott dismiss the prose poem. Vincent Stanley, for Rick Aketo, disdained the prose poem by Walcott. His blue water lilt curmudgeoned, dismissed. No reason not to divide with a dot. I hear America calling for a dot. Sometimes a line strings possibilities too short to save, as in Agnes Martin drawing that fine rule won't quite reach the edge, and Freud said the way back from fantasy to reality is art. Well, good luck, poem. Feels a stranger to what's lyric poetry now, Walcott said. Blue water lilt rising, and poetry is a language of grief, he said. Love lost, grief is, the poem sails on. Afloat a dapple of pitch and roll, land rarely in line, so hard to tell. Cargo from crates on a dock, what might grown timbers to matchsticks and sink us. Love comes to grief when so little by our effort is left to be won. Americans, for God's sake, why don't you write about empire, Walcott growled. Either for it or against it, oh, but we can't see it that way. As a Caribbean, you feel the soles of our feet, but we feel the sand. Used to be our business, was business steel, fine. Tolerance is its speed. Scott Gerald, driving drunk into the eye. Now our America means this infinite line. A bridge dot to dot, in each island bridge loses its blue water name and memory. Art couldn't carry us all the way back. Still the prose poem, however keenly off, its nose broken by masters, snubs empire or misses the point. Or so I float as far as I got. True, too, that lines in their shimmer, as a bridge over Bentwood and Hollow, spells the deeps, those taut strings, how the lyric can lie, yet the grief sound through. From Fulcrum. 40. Pamela Sutton, for David Pearl in memoriam. When did numbers hijack my life of words? Until today, words were everything, numbers nothing, all changed at 40, when numbers exploded like nails from a suicide bomber. 1 life, 1 lunch hour, 5-mile run, 40 minutes, 10-minute shower, board meeting at 2, $200 per month at 11%, times 20 years equals retirement, drop-off child at 8, pick-up child before 7, $600,000 of life insurance, 1 life, 1 dream of trees, tall sycamores perforated by light. Children at trees, inhaling, exhaling light and trees, the only thing that matters. 1 dream, carrying my grandmother in my arms, and she weighs exactly the same as my child. 1 beloved child. 1, 2, 3 trees in Independence Square Park. 100,000 fragments of glass in the Parish Tiffany mosaic. 260 colors. 1 hawk perched on the weather vane, rapacious free. 1 colossus consecrated to the sun. 1 room, thousands of viscous. 9/11, 2 towers, 101 stories, 2 planes, 3,000 dead. One evening in Florida, the sun, hand over hand, drags notes from doves' throats like strands of tears. One evening after the new 5-mile run, 40 minutes, 24-hour deadline. 1 journalist, pearl, palm, fronds clatter and shift in the porous light, clockwise, counterclockwise. From the American Poetry Review. Heartlines. Alexandra Teague. Listen to your heart, this new man tells me. We are in a bar with red velvet curtains for walls, sashes of conversation, draped under music. He pours rum and then coke over ice, which rattles like elegant gravel. When I listen to my heart, I hear tires crunching on a dirt road, years out of this city. Thrum, pulse of wood, slats on the high water bridge. I swam after angelfish in that shallow creek, and though I'm sure now they were trout, or less, I remember their fins flirtatious silver. Why is it that blood, which is most of our bodies, disappears when we strike it with light? If I could, I'd spend this night in my own heart, hear its off metronome gurgle, flowing and falling of darkness. I'd string a bright lure, open and fill the locks in there, my father's fibrillated beat, my mother's paling blood. In the red-lit elevator he jokes, clever, drunkenly of Dante. Though next day, riding down 9 floors in sheer silence, I do not think of hell, but of a heart, awkwardly standing in a single chamber, as the cables lower us into our outside skins I never see. This man again, a classical pianist, stockbroker who promised to seduce me with music. I remember these notes, like the 75 counties of a state. I seldom visit, unless even when I learned them as a child unforgettably by heart. From the New England Review. Ultimately, justice directs them. Craig Morgan Teicher. 1. The soldiers are coming. The soldiers are coming to break America. The soldiers are dispatched from America, and they are landing their boats on American shores. 2. Why are soldiers coming? Not because they believe in what they were told, but because they believe that ultimately justice directs them, that ultimately the right thing will happen. Three, We say they are soldiers, but they are not. They have eyes and hands and hairstyles and children and expressions on their faces that their mothers remember on the faces of the infants they were. 4. They are coming to break everything down to basics. America has become too frumpy for its pants. Its healthcare system cares not for health. 5. Its laws are more paper. 6. Its schools are more paper. 7. Its schools are brick and paper. 8. That is what the soldiers will say. 9. America looks at itself and sees itself, not America. 10. Itself looks at itself and calls what it sees America. 11. America has begun calling everything America no matter what. 12. Now more than ever. 13. Operation America. Operation with extra cheese. Operation with fries with that. Operation No Child Left Behind. Operation Enduring Sandwich. Operation Regurgitated Eagle. Operation Prince of Freedom. Operation All Night Long. Operation Perhaps. Operation No Really. 14. It's literally just a fucking line. 15. The soldiers are here. 16. Operation Big Time Pause. Operation 17. Operation Please and Thank You. 18. Operation Paper. Operation No More Stars. 19. The soldiers are wearing yellow ribbons in support of the return of the regular guy. 20. The soldiers are on TV right outside the door. 21. They are knocking. Change the channel. 22. Operation America Go. Operation Yes. Operation Okay. Operation Every Man for Himself, and best of luck to the women and kids. 23. It's just another fucking line. 24. By part 24, it is already done. From No Tell Motel. Liturgy. Natasha Trethaway. For the Mississippi Gulf Coast, to the security guards staring at the Gulf, thinking of bodies washed away from the coast, plugging your ears against the bells and sirens, sound of alarm, the gaming floor on the coast. To Billy's Scarpetta, waiting tables on the coast, staring at the Gulf, thinking of water rising, thinking of New Orleans, thinking of cleansing the coast. To the woman dreaming of returning to the coast, thinking of water rising, her daughter's grave, my mother's grave, underwater on the coast. To Miss Mary, somewhere, to the displaced, living in trailers along the coast, beside the highway in vacant lots, an open field to everyone who stayed on the coast, who came back or cannot to the coast. To those who died on the coast, this is a memory of the coast. To each his own recollections, her reclamations, their restorations, the return of the coast. This is a time capsule for the coast. Words of the people, don't forget us, the sound of wind, waves, and silence, the silence of graves. The muffled voice of history bulldozed and buried, under sand poured on the eroding coast. The concrete slabs are rebuilding the coast. This is a love letter to the Gulf's coast. Gulf Coast, a praise song, a dirge, an invocation and benediction, a requiem for the Gulf Coast. This cannot rebuild the coast. It is an indictment, a complaint, my logos, argument and discourse with the coast. This is my nostos, my pilgrimage to the coast, my memory, my reckoning, native daughter, I am the Gulf Coast. From the Virginia Quarterly Review. A sea change. Derek Walcott. With the change of government, the permanent cobalt, the promises we take with a pinch of salt. With change of government, with the permanent aquamarine, with a reorganized cabinet, the permanent violet, the permanent lilac over the reef, the permanent flux of Archer's shallows, the torn bunting of the currents and the receding banners of the breakers. We have a change in government, no change in crickets chirp, the low comical bellow of the bull, or the astonishing symmetry of tossing horses. We have a change in government, the haze of wide rain, which you begin to hear as the rulers hear the crowd gathering under the balcony, the leader who was promised the permanent cobalt of a change of government, with the lilac and violet of his cabinet change, from AGNI and Harper's.